For more, we're joined from Dublin by Déaglán de Bréadún, columnist for the Irish News and the author of Power Play, The Rise of Modern Sinn Féin. Thank you for being with us here on France 24.
Thank you.
The whole of the continent's watching this snap election. Should Europe worry?
I don't think so, really. I don't think it's going to change very much. I don't think the parties will have many more seats than they had going out. In fact, there are fewer seats going anyway. They've reduced the overall total from 108 to 90. So everybody will be losing seats, but the strengths of the different parties will be more or less the same. The main unionist party, the Democratic Unionist Party, DUP, will go down slightly. Sinn Féin will go up slightly. But essentially, elections in Northern Ireland, the results are very, very predictable. People tend to vote on orange and green, Catholic and Protestant community grounds, and it doesn't change very much.
Doesn't change very much, but as you heard our correspondent Chris Moore say, a lot of voters are fed up. They feel as though the corruption is rampant on both sides. They're sick of the gridlock. Is there no alternative?
Well, there are some smaller radical groups, left-wing radical groups, and some more right-wing groups, maybe unionist groups who don't want to cooperate with nationalists. But they're very, very small. The main players are going to be Sinn Féin and the Democratic Unionist Party, and they were the main players going out into this election. Now, the question is, will they go back into a power-sharing government? That is the real question, and it doesn't look as if they will go back anytime soon. The grassroots of Sinn Féin were fed up that the DUP, the Unionist Party, wasn't sufficiently flexible. It was doing silly things like cutting grants. They cut a small grant for Irish language, for kids to go on Irish language courses in the summertime. Just provocative, silly gestures that looked sectarian and annoyed the nationalist community very much, and indeed the grassroots of Sinn Féin were fully behind. In fact, they forced their leaders to pull out of the power sharing arrangement with Sinn Féin. But they may come at a compromise, they may arrive at a compromise. Sinn Féin wants the leader of the Democratic Unionist Party, Arlene Foster, the former First Minister. They want her to step aside until there is an inquiry into this heating incentive scandal. People were getting a lot of money from the government to install heating systems that weren't really necessary, and it was a bit of a scandal, to be honest with you. And this Arlene Foster was in charge of the whole thing, and she's getting the blame because people say she didn't keep her eye on the ball. So Sinn Féin have sort of used this as an excuse to pull out of the power-sharing government, and if they're going to go back in, they will want concessions. The main one they want is for Arlene Foster to step aside. Now, that will be very difficult to achieve because the Unionist Party, even people who don't like Arlene Foster, won't want to be dancing to the Sinn Féin tune. They won't want to be doing what Sinn Féin tell them. And that's a real problem. So you have a very divided community. Fortunately, there is not much violence these days, but the divisions are still very deep.
Yeah, the division's frozen. Nonetheless, we have a change of generation, what with Michelle O'Neill, the new standard bearer for Sinn Féin, Martin McGuinness, who is ill and was not heading the ticket this time around. Is Sinn Féin changing? Is the DUP changing?
Well, they're both changing in that they're both very committed to non-violent means of resolving problems, but they're not getting on very well at the moment, and there are a lot of divisions between them on issues, and there doesn't seem to be much common ground at the moment. Now, I think Sinn Féin will want to get back into government and I think so will the DUP, but they have to do so without losing face. So the real issue is Arlene Foster. Will she step down or not? They might find some way around that, of maybe nominally appointing her as First Minister while putting someone else in the job until this inquiry into the heating scandal is concluded. Alternatively, there might be an interim report on the heating scandal, which might portray her as incompetent but not corrupt. So that would be a step forward. It's the basic problem is that the Unionists want to remain part of the United Kingdom. The Nationalists want to join with the rest of Ireland in a united Ireland. And it's very hard to overcome that basic division.
That basic division, which has another spanner thrown into all of this, which is, of course, the vote on Brexit. The majority of people in Northern Ireland voted to remain in the EU. What's Northern Ireland going to look like post-Brexit?
It's going to look pretty miserable, actually, because there are a lot of farmers in Northern Ireland, and they are going to suffer when Brexit comes in, as are farmers in the rest of the island. But the British government basically doesn't care very much about farmers. The farming community is not the influential force that it is in Southern Ireland or indeed in France. So Brexit is not going to be good for them because the British England is going to be buying its beef from Australia, America, Argentina, getting it cheaper than it would from either part of Ireland. So the farming community is really facing a very grim future.
And how about the border? Will there still be some kind of deal worked out so that the Good Friday Agreement can stay on the rails?
Yes, the Good Friday Agreement is going to have a problem. I think the violence will not resume, but there are some angles that need to be covered. For example, under the Good Friday Agreement, Northern Ireland, a majority in Northern Ireland could vote to go in with the South in a united Ireland. And that was a key element of the Good Friday Agreement. Now, the question is, if after Brexit, if Northern Ireland voted to go in with the south of Ireland, would they still have to be outside of the European Union? And the government in Dublin is pushing Brussels to say, yes, that if Northern Ireland votes to go in with the Republic in a 32-county Irish United Ireland, that they would be able to rejoin the European Union, just as East Germany was able to join the European Union when it went in with West Germany.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see. In any case, Déaglán de Bréadún, many thanks for joining us today from Dublin.
Thank you.